Good evening, everyone. This is Divye Duheta Mahajan, founder and director of Ennobler Private Limited, a mind handling solution company and a company that works in the corporate wellness sector, particularly. So today's live is a business live with Summer, and I would request Summer to just give a little bit introduction about yourself and
Sure.
what work she has been doing. Yeah.
Thank you, Divya. Thank you for having me here. I'm really glad to be a part of this. My name is Summer, and I live in Paris. I work as a global project manager for sales enablement in a cybersecurity-based company.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful, Summer. And I believe that you have grown up in JNK only.
Yes,
Uh,
I have done my schooling from Kashmir. That's right.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Samar, as you know, the corporate is in present time going through a very critical phase where we have suddenly shifted from a physical aspect of working to a virtual aspect of working.
Right.
And their corporate wellness have gained a lot of importance
That's
since we
right.
have been taking up the corporate wellness training programs with the people and the different companies, especially MNCs. We have realized that there is an area that remains untouched. We
Hmm.
normally say we need to have a higher performance rate, we need to have people who have abilities more than anything else, so
Correct.
that our businesses grow up. But every organization and every institution that pitches for a business anywhere in the world uh, goes on the basis of the employee,
Right.
and employees are individuals who contribute together, right?
Correct.
So how much importance do you feel that corporate wellness have in present times?
Oh, I mean, not just in these times, actually, Divya, I would say that corporate wellness literally becomes the backbone of the productivity in any company. Take any industry. It's extremely important that as someone who has who has joined an organization should be valued, should be taken care of, so that we are in that balance in our lives, so that we have better results at work as well. And I think you're right. I mean, during pandemic, we definitely had a leap. All of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, one fine morning, we were just told that you're supposed to work from home, and people started figuring it out that. Some were figuring it out to how to really have the discipline to work like that. Some had challenges as how to balance children at home, partners on the other side. I had a challenge that in Paris we have a very small apartment, so we both had to make sure that we are scheduling our meetings in such a way that we don't disturb each other. So we were also giving that space to each other. So it's extremely important, I think. But yeah, with the coming times, with whatever has happened in the last 1.5 years, I think it's somewhere had a silver lining, because there are a lot of entities across globe who have started, I would say, identifying that how important corporate wellness is.
Absolutely. So normally what happens is we associate stress with the wellness, right?
Right.
There is stress and you need to counter it. Whether we talk about the physical stress, stress in any part of your body, or a mental
Correct.
stress because of work, extra work that you have got, and you don't have that much of energy, so it causes a little bit of, not little bit, a lot of strain in your mind and in your presence that actually get replicated outside in your behavior
Yeah.
and actions. So this is how, like, normally we associate stress, and the performance is directly proportional to that.
Yep.
Higher the stress, I think probably the performance will, sorry, it is inversely proportional to it, and higher the stress, and it is going to the performance is going to fall off.
Correct.
But if we go a little bit deeper into it, the entire phenomena, stress could be because of work,
Hmm.
but stress could be because of anything that is there in your environment as well,
Agreed.
the environment that you are working. So a concept called microaggression is very much prominent in companies.
Right.
So what do you want to talk about it? Like anything that comes up in your mind on
Well,
that.
a lot of things, to be honest, because see, there are a lot of as a professional, I had an opportunity to work in Indian corporate system, the work culture, and also in the European one. But before I talk about both the work cultures, I would want to make sure that the audience actually know what microaggression really is. So when we talk about microaggression, it can be anything derogatory or anything negative in terms of behavior. It can be an environmental change. It can be a verbal thing as well. Maybe it isn't intentional, but it can be unintentional as well. So people need to have that awareness to identify microaggression. It's very important. Um, Now, when I talk about the work culture of Indian companies or Indian cities where I've been, I've traveled to a lot of different cities. I've lived, I would say, around stayed in around 12 different cities in India, and every city had some or the other, I would say, uniqueness in it because the people are different, their way of treating each other is different. And I think every region has got a different set of microaggressions happening in the system. And when that happens, and when we normalize the fact of, calling someone out based on the gender, calling someone out based on, maybe kahan se aaya hua hai wo ya kahan se aayi hui hai, we kind of somewhere normalize the fact that we are shaming a person based on looks, roots, background, profession, or whatever. And I think sadly, I have to say this, but I definitely saw a difference between the European work culture and Indian work culture. That in Southeast Asia, when we look at Southeast Asia, we have really normalized such shaming in our systems, and people somewhere have got that attitude towards it. Ki chalta hai, it's all cool. And when I relate it with the Indian work culture, I definitely see a reflection of that coming from the society into the work culture. If I give you a very small example, I have seen some people, looking at someone's city of origin and saying that, Are tu to like South ka hai, so you will say like this, or tu to Bihari hai, so you're gonna say like that. Or recently, in one of the rooms in Clubhouse, someone actually shared a very traumatic experience wherein the person said that he's really having a good relation with all his peers around. He's from Kashmir, and he had invited these people, and said that, I will be the host and I'll be the guide in Kashmir. And they very lightly said, "Are wahan pe kahin bandook leke hame, tum, kabza, as in house arrest to nahi kar doge." So these things, the people don't really understand in our system that how traumatic can this be for a human, irrespective of where the person comes from.
Okay.
So, your microaggression hai, Divya, this has really taken a toll on many, but unfortunately, the victim of microaggression, even they sometimes don't realize it. I was working in one of the European companies here, wherein I was working with an Italian manager. She was sitting in Italy, and I told my manager back here in Paris, I told him that, there is, this lady has told me about this. And he said, just don't get bothered. She's from Italy. So that again tells a lot about our judgment based on, where we come from, where the person is from. So I think microaggression has been there in the system, and I think we need to bring that awareness amongst the people who is being a victim to it and who is victimizing the other person, that it's not okay to stay quiet about it. It's not okay to just say, okay, it's okay. It's just a comment, but it's not a comment. Somewhere, not everyone is able to cope up with that, and we eventually see some sort of, some traumas, and it definitely has an impact over the performance of professionals.
Absolutely. So, Samar, just when you were talking about, microaggression, I just got one, thought in my mind. Normally what happens in psychology, they say that you associate things where you are grown up.
Right.
You associate your environment with yourself, you associate the people who have been living with you, and you associate the ideology with what you have been grown up with.
Yeah.
Right. So when you move out of that particular association into another environment, that another environment actually is living that association on its own, not yours, but their own associations.
Right.
So when both the associations come together and they start working towards a goal, let's say in an organization, probably that associations do not find a right kind of bridge to
Correct.
accommodate each other.
That's very
The
true.
one who is coming to the another place, probably they are coming with the sense that the other people will accommodate them, but they are not willing to accommodate.
Correct.
So this is
Correct.
this has been a trend, from not a trend but a very
A
humanistic
pattern.
pattern. So kind of, I believe, if we move towards the acceptance instead of getting carried away with what they think and what they say, if we move towards the acceptance at the both the ends, it should not be from the one end aspect but from
Right.
the both end aspect, then there is a chance that in a corporate culture we tend to bring up that kind of wellness that we intend to keep within our
That's
mind.
actually a very good point, Divya. When we look at any work culture, let's not just talk about corporate, but obviously we will trickle down to corporate. But if I talk about any workplace, there were times when people used to look at a workplace from a very hierarchical prism. Okay, I am an outsider, I need to adjust. But
Yeah.
if we look at the world, if we look at the current scenario of corporate world, we definitely see that hierarchical pattern is going away.
Right.
So if I, as an international expatriate here in Paris, here in France, I am joining a company which claims to be absolutely international and which expects me to, collaborate with them with the help of, relationship building or any other skill set which I should have. I think it is equally their responsibility as well to, open that platform for me. And I think that's where often we professionals, we don't understand our basic work rights. So when I talk about that, I am joining a company, the company is not doing any favor on me. It is an equal collaboration which is happening. I am an asset to the company. That's why I have been hired for it. And it's very important for people to understand and identify those basic rights and basic setup, because we no more believe in hierarchical stuff. I am not someone that, if I am reporting to a manager, I have to say yes to everything at my workplace. There needs to be that integrity in place for both the sides. And I think we definitely see, I mean, not just in the Indian corporate world, I would say it's somewhere here as well. When I see an expat joining a new company, we are often very, kind of scared about the fact that, oh, I'm an outsider. And the cherry on the cake is when I don't speak their language, that becomes even more difficult because I'm not that confident in French at this point of time, but then I'm too confident in English. So it's very important for us to realize the fact that we are not, we don't owe anything to anybody. We have been hired based on our talent, based on our skills, based on our resume, based on our experience, and we are being an asset to them as well. So it goes hand in hand for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So another point that comes to my mind right now is being a lady. What challenges do you experience in your corporate, journey?
Well, it's an unending thing, I would say. So, Divya, this is a topic which is very close to my heart because I always felt that it's very important for women to understand A, microaggression, and B, the kind of treatment the system basically gives us. And I think if I compare my life, my work life from India to, when I'm here in Europe, I was always someone who wanted to challenge the system. So I always had questions. I always had questions that, no, I don't feel nervous when I'm in a room full of men because I am confident about what I'm talking about. So that's very important in us to, to be inculcated. It's extremely important, I feel. And I never felt not that I would say that the system around me was extremely positive always, but then I always had this confidence in me that, why would I even compare myself with a man, or even anyone else, because I am confident in my own skin and, with my own identity. But on the other side, there is something very important which we need to understand. As a woman, when I am a professional, Sheryl Sandberg has put it very beautifully in her book called Lean In, wherein she says that, I don't exactly remember the percentage, but then there is a very huge percentage of women who, when look at a job posting, they try to fit in a job posting which is like, matching 100% with their resume. So if there are like 10 points of requirements, prerequisites for a candidate, they would try to see if I'm matching 9 out of 10. And on the other side, when we look at a male professional, he would just go ahead with just 4 out of 10. He doesn't care. And they've been built like that. And we women have been built in a different way. But we need to use it in a more positive way, I feel, because when I am being too conscious about whether I will fit into the system or not, that already is reducing my chances of getting selected, because I somewhere am doubting my own existence, my own skill set, right? So I think it's very important for women to understand their strengths first and stop overthinking about things. It's extremely important. If I talk about the challenges, well, recently in one of the companies, my previous companies, I definitely had, I wouldn't call it microaggression, but that was like pretty bold. And the person was very rude towards women, especially when we were alone in a meeting room. And the person had some sort of, a kind of a reaction to women, especially. And around men, he was always very, very cool and very calm. And well, I did not keep quiet, first of all, because I was somewhere giving my service to this company, and I had to make sure that I am valued and respected equally. I directly went to his manager, and I tell him that you got to tell him that next time if he misbehaves, I will not come to you. I will go to the HR, because I know my rights and I know how important it is for this country. To have me in a right mental balance. And I think I always try to go through all the clauses and, what are my rights if I am living in a country. It's extremely important for us to know. And that was the only microaggression I faced, I would say. But beyond that, I think as a professional, I always got lucky to have amazing managers right from my first job. And I remember I was a technical consultant before. I was an IT consultant for 1.5 years, and in a group of like 200 people, my CEO asked the whole crowd that who thinks that who can handle a project alone, and I was extremely young, and I just raised a hand and I said I would do that. And some of the regional directors saw me and they pushed me for a leadership program. You never know how the situation really works for you, right? And immediately after that, I went to the VP of that organization and I told him I want a managerial role. And I was not sure what I was talking about, but I was literally thrown into it, and they just said that we believe in you, just go for it. And I started handling 6 different projects together with 8 different engineers in my team, and I was absolutely an amateur in it. And I think that risk taking is very important in our profession, in our daily lives, because if we are not ready to come out of that comfort zone and just stop doubting ourselves, we won't be able to, really take that leap. And it's extremely important. And I would say especially for women, because we somewhere are overthinkers. Even if during the night, if meri aankh khulti hai, to I have thousands of thoughts going on, and it's with every woman. I would say we are overthinkers, but I think it's very important for us to divert that energy into the positive direction.
And a very important point that I've caught from your, whatever you have said is take up a challenge.
Yeah.
So even when we talk about the corporate wellness, any kind of challenge is going to be right there in front of you. Don't think that you are a woman or a man. Every challenge is a challenge, and every person is a person, not a gender. Absolutely. So if we take take up with respect to the individual, with respect to the challenge that you have, I think we are going to make it, because then
Absolutely.
you have a wider options to progress.
True,
And
true.
of course, more of abilities grow when you take up those challenges and you start moving beyond your limitations.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I agree. I agree.
So corporate wellness kind of, when you talk about stress in the corporate sector, the stress is either because of microaggression or
Mm-hmm.
because of workload that they have, but collectively it is known as a stress. So whenever we people as an Ennobler Private Limited, we approach MNCs for the corporate wellness training programs,
Mm-hmm.
we don't specify that particular word stress, because companies will not be happy listening that. They don't want that they should be tagged with this concept that their employees are stressed because of them.
Right.
So we go in a very indirect manner that we want to increase the performance of your company. So these are the training programs that we have, and we offer it to you for the well-being of your employees, so
Mm-hmm.
that their performance multiplies and your company grows in the multifold way.
Right.
So that's how we take up a leap. In this particular direction, there are many challenges that come forth,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not everyone is that open. When we take up leadership training programs, particularly in wellness,
Mm-hmm.
not everyone is open to be emotionally intelligent, to take up every employee's emotional factor and take it forward in terms of whatever work they are doing.
Right.
So what experience do you have in that particular area?
Well, I'm a big fan of the term called emotional intelligence because I think that's somewhere, lagging in many of our societies. So I've dealt with a lot of different cultures now, a lot of different nationalities, and I think, I mean, for me, that's a very true point, by the way, that we somewhere want to deny the fact that, employees are stressed. We don't want
Yeah.
to relate the productivity with their stress. But if we look at it from a very honest perspective, it's absolutely relatable, and I think it's high time that we start identifying that, and we start acknowledging the fact that they, after all, are humans. Their productivity
Absolutely.
will be impacted, and I think here I would like to give a difference of the European culture and the Indian culture, which I have seen so far. In the Indian culture, we haven't learned to say no. That's the biggest mistake of Southeast Asia, I would say. When I was working in India, I was working in Pune for a lot of time, and I remember I've seen IT consultants working literally day in, day out, not visiting their family for like 2, 3 days together, and just going there for 1 hour, taking a bath, and freshening up and coming back to office because the client back in the US or back in the Gulf has asked for something. So
Okay.
we don't know how to prioritize our life. That's one thing which I would say that the whole world knows, and I would say that the western side of the world very well knows it, and they make the most out of Indian employees. To be very honest with you, um, the Southeast Asian, I would say, even with Pakistani people, with Chinese people, with Japanese, because we come from the same side of the world, so we somewhere share that culture of not saying no to anybody, especially when it's about getting an increment at the end of the year. So that becomes super
That's
crucial for us that we should not have any bad feedback. But I think what I learned in all this is we need to start saying no. That's one. Secondly, when we talk about emotional intelligence, it's very important that it's inculcated into the leaders first, and then the managers, and then their employees. Because you will see that if I talk about Jeff Bezos, if I talk about Sundar Pichai, if I talk about I mean Tim Cook or anybody from that league, we have seen a very common pattern of these leaders. We have seen the pattern of they acknowledging. the existence of their employees. If you look at Google, I was working with Google for some time, so I came across one of the rules in Google that if an employee of Google, God forbid, dies, his or her partner would get half of the salary for next
Okay.
10 years and
Okay.
$1,000 every month to the kid till the time the kid is 18. That
Okay.
matters. That means a lot. It's not
That
about
makes.
money. It's not about the financial support. It's about considering the employee, that the person had contributed to the organization, and how can we pay him or her back. So that basically tells a lot about a leader, because that leader wants to make sure that he or she somewhere tries to, convey that comfort to that employee and his or her family. It's very important. And I think to identify and to acknowledge emotional intelligence, and to acknowledge the fact that stress is equally, absolutely directly proportional, not actually inversely proportional to the productivity, we need to make sure that we have the leaders well educated about it, because otherwise it is absolutely difficult to inculcate that empathy within the ecosystem. It's very, very difficult.
And it's in any way difficult to inculcate empathy through just a program, because
Yeah,
it's a lifelong process.
yeah,
You cannot teach somebody to be you to empathize with your employees and your manager just by imparting them couple of things or giving them a sheet and just putting up their ideas on that sheet.
yeah, absolutely.
So
And I
it's
think,
a lifelong journey, and probably they need to keep on that with an intention.
yeah.
If they don't have that intention, nobody can put them onto that path.
And I think it's
And
very important for people to start risking their job somewhere, because that's not the end of life. I know that in India there are very few people I mean, a very small percentage who actually understand their basic working rights. So there is a specific work council in every city of India, which can reach your office at any time of the day. It can be even at night. And if you're feeling uncomfortable, you're feeling harassed, you're feeling that you're in danger, you can just dial their number and they would be there. Very few people actually leverage that, and that should be made more and more public to the people for awareness, I think.
that probably is not being into the public domain, because even people who harass or people who are into such kind of activities don't want that,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
they are majorly the heads of the institutions
Yeah,
who want
that's
to
true.
exploit and consider every human being as a resource.
True.
So that factor as a resource has transformed the way we think.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
when I was going and approaching companies for the corporate training programs, I said, what is the end result of that? The program that you're going to offer us.
Okay.
So I always wonder, this is the training, and training will definitely come out with the results, but the results will come in a span of time. It will not be just a चुटकी बजाई और काम हो गया, ऐसा तो
But
होता नहीं.
that's what we need to change, because I remember I was into IT consulting before, by the way, and one of the very, very senior leaders once told me, all these people roaming around, you see? I said, yeah. And the person said, they're not people, they're dollars walking for us. So that needs to change. And I think, sadly, in Indian IT consulting industry, we literally treat people like just resources per hour charges, $60, $70. It's like that. It's very important to develop that, I would say, that respect for each other, and not just look at the person based on which position he or she is at. It's very important. And I think somewhere in the South Asian society, that lags in the society as well, wherein we only want to give respect to the person if the person was born before us. It's a very typical culture. Okay, आप मुझे दीदी भैया बोलोगे, अंकल आंटी बोलोगे, just because आप मुझसे उम्र में छोटे हो, and you're supposed to greet. So ये सारी चीजें कहीं ना कहीं पे हमारे work culture में भी दिखती हैं. And we somewhere want to satisfy our ego by being the leader or by being the senior most, and people reporting to me, oh my God, this is something powerful, and I have the right to somewhere intimidate the other person. So that thing needs to go away. And I think when you said that people are looking for I would say results, they want to see those results in terms of money, in terms of revenue, in terms of how much did we make out of it. And the problem is there are some things, there are some values which we need to inculcate in the organization, which are intangible, which might not be favorable for the company in next 2 years, but they might be favorable for the human who is working out there. And I think when you're introducing those things into the system, Divya, the biggest challenge which you see is people are not convinced because they don't want to, they are not really bothered about the intangible results, really. And I think for me, if I would have been in your place, I would have directly targeted the leader first and understood what the person is really up to, because it's high time that we give opportunities of senior leadership to the youngsters as well, because somewhere I see that there is more awareness of emotional intelligence, microaggression, and respecting each other's identity in the youngsters more than a little senior people.
I've, just one point I would like to add on to it is somewhere down the line, stability has a lot of importance. If you talk
Right.
about the Indian culture or the European European culture is much more stable compared to the Indian culture.
Right.
And corporate sector over here, the people who are, just approaching for their jobs, they have the one goal in hand. They want money in their pockets.
That's
And the
true.
corporates have only one goal in their mind, and that is they want to progress. That's all, because
True.
they want to sustain their survival.
True.
So the sustainability factor holds a lot of importance. So the value system we see in the European system and the value system we see in Indian system differs majorly because of this.
Yeah.
We are also stable in terms of economy and in terms of our business generation. If you talk about the Google or we talk about the Tata, both are the stable companies. Even Tata gives incentive to their employees after their demise to their families.
Okay.
So, and they also provide them with all the facilities including the hospital facilities. So even if
That's
they're
amazing.
they're getting sick, so they sponsor everything for the employees. It is just the level of stability a company is experiencing with respect to the same, they impart their finances towards such kind of activities. Otherwise, they tend to just cut shorted, because this is what has happened in Indian scenario in the COVID time. Training is the first thing that has gone to
Yeah, absolutely.
shopping table.
Absolutely.
To cut short the expenses, they first chop the training aspect. Let's take it away from our business for the moment, so that we sustain ourselves for a longer period of time.
In my current job, one of my European leaders decided that we should not be giving any specific number target for a specific project which I was trying to roll out. And I went ahead with it. I said, well, I believe in your leadership, so let's do it. Let's see for a couple of quarters. And compared to the other geos, which are America, Asia, and all the other regions, we were actually doing better.
So it's like if you don't have the targets, you tend to move beyond that.
Yeah, exactly. Somewhere my leader decided that no, I don't want to put them into pressure because they're already under a lot of pressure because of certain things. So I would want it to be a very flexible program, and when we roll this tool out, I want it to be a very user-friendly thing rather than putting them into another spot that now you have to figure this out as well, and report to me as soon as possible. And when I looked, so I'm the one who takes care of all the regions together, and when I looked at the numbers, I was amazed. And I said that this is what I call modern leadership, wherein we are believing in the other people's way of working, and we are not micromanaging the part wherein okay, give me the details about every stage. What did you do? How did you do it? When are you going to do it? We give the end deadline. We give some date that let's review it together on this day, but we are not putting any pressure on the person. And in return, I actually saw those results, and that was incredible to see. So when you say that this stress or the stability. It's very true because the attitude matters a lot. And I think there is one more thing which I would like to add here, Divya, that somewhere in the South Asian society, we run after a 9 to 5 job, and we tend to forget the creativity of our existence. And sadly, I have seen a lot of people just focusing on their earnings out of this 9 to 5. Whereas if you look at the international market right now, there are people who work 9 to 5 and have the other creative stuff going on in their lives, wherein they are making passive income. And there comes a point in their life when they leave that 9 to 5 job and have a absolutely independent, that passive income based life. And why is that happening? Because they are enjoying it. So the science behind it is whatever you enjoy, you're even more productive in it. And that attitude of just having that job of 9 to 5 somewhere is making us a very lazy human who is very comfortable in that zone, in that bubble, and we don't want to come out of it because अगर जॉब चली गई तो क्या करेंगे? लोन भरना है, ये करना है, वो करना है. आई अंडरस्टैंड कि अगर हम इंडिया पाकिस्तान की बात ले लें तो बहुत से ऐसे हमारे चैलेंजेस हैं एज रेजिडेंट्स ऑफ सच रीजन्स वेयरइन हमें वो फाइनेंशियल सपोर्ट नहीं मिल पाता है. अगर इफ आई टॉक अबाउट फ्रांस, I took a break after my previous job for few months, and then I moved to a new job, and I knew that I have paid my taxes, and my government here started paying me 80%, 70% of my salary then. So if I was earning 100 before, they started paying me 70, that, hey, you're taking a break, let's give you this much because you had paid the taxes before. So there are a lot of factors added to it wherein people don't want to let go of their jobs, let go of their 9 to 5 stuff because they just want to earn money and have that.
Scared basically.
Yeah,
they're scared. That's the cause that percolate down into the performance as well.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
They're scared of performing as well. So they come across Ennobler coaches. And it is amazing, and I'm really enjoying the conversation that we both are having together, and I believe that all our viewers are enjoying it too. If any one of you have any questions, they can put up in the box and we can answer them. Yeah.
I think we had some questions up there, maybe. Yeah, someone had actually asked that women are more choosy, we say then. No, when I was talking about women overthinking about what they want to apply for, I didn't mean that we are choosy. I meant that we are overthinking about the fact, and we are somewhere self-doubting that whether I'll be a good fit for it or not. It's not about being choosy. It's about being scared of one's own identity, because we have been intimidated by the system so much that we very naturally get conscious if we are in a room full of men. We need to stop doing that. We need to understand that all are humans, and it's okay to make mistakes. And even if people want to judge and say that, oh, you're a bad driver because you're a woman, let them think it. If you change your attitude and you only take it as because you did not have right classes of driving, that's absolutely okay. Let's stop putting it on the gender that only a male person should be can be a good decision maker. A woman is a bad driver. We need to get out of those notions. We need to stop getting conscious of our existence, and that's very important. As a professional, as a human, it's extremely important to grow.
Absolutely. And this is take up whatever challenge is coming in front of you and just go with it.
True, yeah. Absolutely.
Is there anything else? So we'll just wrap up.
I think that's about it.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Summer, and it was pleasure having you on board. We'll definitely stay in touch.
Absolutely.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Okay.